of sabotage, or it is a case of equipment failure, if you like, and all of that. Investigations with the Guara instance, for instance, and then it will still follow with this. Even a professional as well to conclude about the use of substandard materials on our project when there hasn't been a thorough investigation as to whether or not it was a case of material failure. But in terms of the standard of project delivery, I can say to you that there is nothing to be worried about the standard of our projects. These incidences are isolated as far as we are concerned, and of course they are unfortunate. All of HYPREP's projects are first designed.
And now, hard facts on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back, Hard Facts, 92.3 Nigeria Info. Sam Chinedu here, where you heard the words and the voice of the PRO of HYPREP, Nuolare Mbawigo, stating that the water tank did not collapse, it only ruptured. He insists that the materials are of top quality. This, in his words, that was the last thing he said, is an isolated incident. Well, Mr. Wigo, I, Sam Chinedu, begs to differ. Because however you want to look at this, HYPREP is not looking good. But I was first approach it from a grammatical standpoint, meaning English language, before we now get into technicalities. I'll play this again so that I pick out the sentence that I want to correct.
Even a professional as well to conclude about the use of substandard materials on our project when there hasn't been a thorough investigation as to whether or not it was a case of material failure. But in terms of the standard of project delivery, I can say to you that there is nothing to be worried about the standard of our projects. These incidences are isolated as far as we are concerned, and of course they are unfortunate. All of HYPREP's projects are first designed.
Okay, Mr. Wigo. These incidents are isolated. They are not. I'm sorry, they are not. If you look up the meaning of isolated incidents, it means a single unique event that is not part of a larger pattern or trend. By any stretch of imagination, adventure, or fiction, you cannot call what happened with this tank isolated. You know why? Because another tank had collapsed about 2 weeks ago. An incident is isolated if it is not part of a larger pattern or trend. Whether you like HYPREP or you hate HYPREP, if you have common sense, you are going to connect the collapse from 2 weeks to this collapse. Why? Because they are similar. They are both water projects, they are both tanks, and they were both constructed, executed by the same establishment, HYPREP. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to love HYPREP or hate HYPREP. Any right-thinking person will connect the two. So by virtue of these realities that happen in the space of 1 month, it is not an isolated incident. Now that is for English language. Let's keep going.
Even a professional as well to conclude about the use of substandard materials on our project when there hasn't been a thorough investigation as to whether or not it was a case of material failure. But in terms of the standard of project delivery, I can say to you that there is nothing to be worried about.
There is everything to be worried about, my brother. There is everything. In fact, if you were not worrying before, you have to start worrying now. Why? Well, I live in an apartment. I have neighbors, and I moved into that place a couple of years ago. We have a plastic tank, what we call GP tank, which is a project that was embarked upon by our landlord, who obviously does not have the kind of resources that HYPREP has. How many flats are in my compound? 1, 2, okay, I will check. Different tanks for different apartments. That tank has never ruptured. It has never fallen down. It has never collapsed. It has never exploded. This is a tank that one man used his hard-earned money to install. So would it be too much for me to expect that the tank that HYPREP installs, whether it is overhead, underground, under the, whatever it is, because it's becoming clear that, we're trying to use technicalities to make this seem less serious than it is. And I understand. Don't get me wrong. I have nothing against HYPREP or the spokesperson. He's literally doing his job. But you have to make it easy for a person with common sense. If nobody was concerned about the quality of HYPREP projects, these two incidents would make them concerned. I say, no, it didn't collapse. He ruptured. There's no problem. The project failed. Whether you want to use collapse, exploded, somersaulted, there were pictures and videos sent by our journalist. The environment where the tank fell, it has rendered it almost useless because there was fences actually that went down with it. There was a person who was making a video and just showing the level of damage that was caused. So any right-thinking person should be concerned. Mind you, HYPREP once again has said that an investigation is underway to ascertain the real cause. We agree. The investigation from the other tank that fell, how far? This does not make HYPREP look good at all. And there are questions that must be answered. It's a PR nightmare that in the space of a month, 2 projects embarked upon by the same establishment failed. One was literally just installed. The other one did not last for up to 1 year. If we were not enlightened people, this is the kind of thing that we will attribute to village people. But these things are happening in the village, so the village people are not even responsible because they want to drink water. So the best available place to look at is the quality of the project. It's that simple. And right now, I'm sure there's going to be scrutiny of other HYPREP projects. In fact, any community that HYPREP has installed a water tank overhead, underground, they will be very careful now. Very careful. People might start telling their children, avoid that area. That place people used to go and play ball under that tank. Just leave there first. Your football dreams can die for now. Else, you might die along with it. And you wouldn't blame them because they have experience to pull from. And beyond that, I don't even want to bring this up. The journalist who my colleague spoke to this morning also complained about the quality of the water.
The interior part of the tank that they are talking about, had rusted. And if you see the depth of the rust inside that tank, you will struggle to think what kind of water is taken to the people of Ibubu in the past 1 year. The water at best, if it's from that tank, that the interior part is so rusted, then it means that the water that Ibubu people have been consuming for the past 1 year has been serious to their health.
I think more needs to be done. That's just what it is. But as always, we're waiting for the result of the investigation. Hopefully it comes out in this lifetime so we can make sense of it. All right, we're going from HYPREP to the president himself. President Bola Tinubu says he will not relent until all abducted students and other victims of insecurity are rescued. The president made this known while confirming that all 38 worshippers abducted in Eruku, Kwara State last week have been rescued. The president says every Nigerian has a right to safety and his administration remains committed to securing the country. President Tinubu also revealed that at least 50 of the missing students kidnapped from a Catholic school in Niger State have now been recovered. He adds that he cancelled his trip to the G20 summit in South Africa to personally coordinate security efforts at home. According to the president, he continues to monitor developments nationwide and is receiving constant updates from the front line. Meanwhile, CAN, the Christian Association of Nigeria, says children fled between Friday and Saturday. Talked about some kids that escaped. 50 out of the 300 abducted from St. Mary's Catholic Primary School escaped from their captors. So apparently the 50 they are talking about, CAN claims that they fled. They were not rescued, but they escaped. CAN also gave fresh figures after a verification exercise confirming that 303 students and 12 teachers were taken during the attack. The association says earlier reports were revised after it discovered 88 students previously thought to have escaped were recaptured by the attackers. And CAN is calling for calm and asking Nigerians to continue praying for the safe return of the remaining abductees. Meanwhile, he denies claims that the school received any warning to shut down its boarding facilities before the attack, as earlier alleged by the Niger state government. So I need you to understand what's going on here. When this was reported last week, there was no figure. Most of the reports, had unverified numbers. So some kids were taken from a school in Niger. And many of those reports claim that as time elapses, we'll update you on the figure. And the reason why it's important to have a figure is to know where the advocacy will begin and end. Now, Khan claims that there were over 300 children. The presidency says 50 have returned, meaning that those that want to ask for their release will start asking for 250 and above. Why? Because they have a number. Now, these numbers did not come from the state government, it did not come from security forces, it came from the Christian Association of Nigeria in Niger State. It's up to the authorities now to say, oh no, they are less or they are more. That's just accurate. And it's one of the many problems we're facing. So we hope, as we always do, that some responsible resolution comes to this. But I'm concerned again that the two cases of people who have been rescued or recovered were cases of those who escaped, according to reports, except for Kwara, where the government claims that it rescued the churchgoers. Well, we go from there to the president, who has directed police officers attached to VIPs across the country to return to core policing duties. The order follows a security meeting he held on Sunday with service chiefs and the head of the DSS in Abuja. Under the new arrangement, VIPs who still require security will now apply for armed protection from the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. The presidency says the idea is to boost police presence in communities, especially in remote areas where many stations currently operate with very few officers. President Tinubu is also pushing wider police reforms, approving the recruitment of 30,000 new officers and working with states to upgrade training facilities. Let's hear from the Inspector General of Police as he talks about the withdrawal of VIPs, police officers from VIPs.
This emergency meeting of the service chief with the Inspector General of Police with Mr. President is to review recent incidents of abduction of school children in Kebbi and in Niger, an attack on vulnerable communities. Mr. President took briefings from all of us, and he's satisfied with our efforts so far. He's particularly happy with the recent development in Kwara, where all the 38 abducted victims from a church have all been rescued and reunited with their families. Mr. President went further to give orders to us. Mr. President gave direct order that immediately policemen providing VIP protection should be made available to join the forces, combating the policemen providing VIP protection presently are to be withdrawn, and they are to complement the ongoing efforts against criminalities.
Okay, so that's the position of the president as shared by the IG of police. There was a meeting with the president. He spoke to them. According to him, he was satisfied with their efforts so far and says everyone that follows a VIP should be withdrawn. The problem, however, is if you gave Nigerians money for every time there was a directive to withdraw police officers from VIPs, we would be millionaires by now. As a matter of fact, I think with every IG, every year, there is a recall for police attached to VIPs to come back. So how do they go back? And we also have to call them back. There are countless incidents, I remember, but one that was notable was about 7 years ago, where the IG of police at the time, Ibrahim Idris, you remember Ibrahim Idris? The one that Buhari had told to relocate to Benue because they had farmer header clashes, and then he didn't go. And later Buhari said he didn't know that he went to Nasarawa instead of Benue. Yes, that one. This was that IG 7 years ago saying that there was a directive to recall police officers attached to VIPs 7 years ago.
The directive for the withdrawal of all police officers deployed to VIPs, political and public office holders, shall be done with immediate effect. These directives include business entrepreneurs, multinational companies,